Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jared Broyles. It was a big night for the Topeka City Council. A federal halfway house in Topeka is being kicked back to the Planning Commission before it even has a chance of opening. KSNT News reporter Harrison Drake was at the meeting. So, Harrison, why are they delaying the plan further?
The property owners suggested that they take a second look at it, and the council agrees that it just wasn't looked at thoroughly enough. So they agreed 9-1 to kick it back to the Planning Commission. Of course, as we've been reporting, the permit would allow a halfway building near the Kansas Expo Center. A developer's plan would remodel an existing house for a 45-bed facility just 200 feet from the Kansas Expo Center's grounds. Last month, the Shawnee County Commissioners voted against it, but now it's back to the drawing board. And some people I spoke to in the area are very upset.
I'm very disappointed in the city council members that decided that they think it would be an okay idea for that to be over there. I don't think they would think the same way if they lived over there.
Now the next developments on the permit might be as soon as January. But another topic of discussion,
everybody that I know that's vending downtown,
proposed changes to vendor licenses and a debris deposit. So basically, nonprofits and vendors would have to pay a deposit to cover any cleanup expenses after an event downtown. A vendor I spoke to earlier today says that this doesn't bode well when it already costs so much to have a food vending license.
everybody that I know that's vending downtown in a food truck never had these food licensing permits anyway because it was just so hard. It's actually easier to buy a gun in the city of Topeka than it is to get a food license for permit to vend food downtown.
At the meeting, downtown Topeka's Vince Fry actually said that with an event that was held in downtown just recently, he had to pay about 8 hours of overtime just to clean up a mess that, of course, wasn't their responsibility. In downtown Topeka, Harrison Drake, KSNT News.
Clear sky out there right now, and temperatures are cooling off. You can see some of those darker colors in all the low spots through the creek beds and river valley areas. That's where we've got the coolest temperatures. 44 at Manhattan, still 54 at Holton, 50 at Marysville, and 52 at Emporia. The winds are very light and the cooler air settling down into those lowest spots. We saw that last night with a mix of upper 30s and low 40s last night under a clear sky, and a very similar setup for tonight as we'll fall down to about 41. Some areas in the upper 30s, others in the lower 40s. But looking ahead, things change. We are tracking strong southerly winds to make a return when you can expect a cold front, and a strong one at that, to move through. A look at that still to come.
It was a contentious election in a deeply divided United States. Now, following a week of anti-Trump protests and what seems like an uptick in hate crimes, the FBI reveals the hard numbers. Mary Maloney explains.
It's been 1 week since Election Day 2016, and in that time, reports of hate crimes have streamed in from across the country. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, more than 400 cases of harassment or intimidation have been reported in the last 7 days. Hateful words and symbols have been spray painted on churches, schools, and in one school, some students stood up at lunch and chanted, "Build that wall." There have also been reports of violence against Donald Trump supporters. One man says he was attacked in Chicago after a car accident, accused of voting for the Republican nominee.
I heard a lady yell something about, that guy's one of those Trump supporters. And I turned and I said to her, that has nothing to do with this.
And this isn't just a recent phenomenon. The increase in hate crimes traces back to before the election. According to a report released by the FBI this week, hate crimes in the U.S. rose 6.8% from 2014 to 2015. Attacks against Muslims rose 67% compared to the year before. 257 attacks in 2015. That's the highest number of attacks on Muslims since 2001, following the al-Qaeda attacks on 9/11, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. While President-elect Trump addressed the issue and implored people to stop the violence during an interview on 60 Minutes, outgoing Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid thinks Trump needs to do more.
Instead of hiding behind your Twitter account and show America that racism, bullying, and bigotry have no place in the White House or in America.
I'm Mary Maloney reporting.
Meanwhile, students at Topeka High School are organizing a way to express togetherness during the recent heightened political tensions nationwide. A group of students is sponsoring a unity walk at 10 tomorrow morning. Students will be allowed to leave class and walk from the school to the State House and back again. It's completely voluntary. They say it's a way to bring teens back together as a school community. Topeka High School Principal Rebecca Morrissey says the school is working with school police to provide safety for the students on the walk. She says administration and staff will also take part in the event. Tonight, General Richard Myers is now the new leader of K-State. Myers has been the interim president since April. He became the interim after the former president left to go to Washington State. Myers says he wants to make going to K-State more affordable for students. He says the decision to work there was based on the people who work and go to school in Manhattan. The hiring board's decision is something even the K-State football head coach agrees with.
He understands the values and the nature and the people of Kansas State, of the community of Manhattan, of the state of Kansas.
General Myers served as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the early 2000s. That's the nation's highest-ranking military officer. Myers will be the 14th president of Kansas State University. We now know the names of a mother and her young child who were killed in a car accident on I-70 near Junction City today. It happened just before 11 this morning near the Grandview Plaza exit in Geary County. The Kansas Highway Patrol says 26-year-old Jessica Thompson was driving west in a car with her 2 children. A truck headed east crossed the median and ran into their car. Thompson and her 5-year-old daughter Leah were both killed in the crash. 6-year-old Jaden was taken to a local hospital with serious injuries. The driver of the truck was not hurt. All lanes on I-70 are now open again. A Manhattan developer will serve a little more than 2.5 years behind bars for having sex with a high school student. A Riley County District Judge sentenced Zach Burton this morning. He was arrested earlier this summer in the case involving a female student at Riley County High School. Burton was an assistant basketball coach and substitute teacher for the school district until May. Investigators are looking into what caused a fire in central Topeka. Just before 11 last night, neighbors noticed smoke and flames coming from the back of a house near Southwest Plass and Munson. That's not far from Topeka Bible Church. The homeowner was able to get out, but a cat died in the fire. Crews quickly put the flames out. A detached garage and a neighboring house were damaged. Investigators still aren't clear how the fire started and aren't saying if it's arson. Late last month, the Topeka Fire Marshal told us there have been 13 arsons in that neighborhood. Kansas is going to new heights to keep you safe on the road. New at 10, KSNT News reporter Tom Weineck tells us about some new high-flying technology.
Thousands of bridges across the country like this one right here behind me. Don't know if you can see it or not, it's pretty dark out. Have to be inspected regularly. Now KDOT leaders are looking to the skies to help them do the job, and that could help save you money. Watching over the ground using a bird's eye view, all in an effort to keep you safe. And this is no fly-by-night gimmick. There are 5,000 state bridges in Kansas.
Not all of them have to be inspected every year.
When they are, you usually see a crew, maybe a camera and a big pickup truck. That's about to change.
This is basically a pickup truck that flies, but it gets them to places and cracks and crevices and sees things in different colors.
KDOT crews are now testing drones to inspect bridges and towers. They've teamed up with FAA leaders to come up with a plan to make this more efficient, safer for the inspectors, and more cost-effective for you, the taxpayer.
If we can save money, increase efficiency, and at the same time ensure safety, is that not something you would want as a taxpayer? But anytime you can improve when technology does, you should look into it.
KDOT leaders also believe this new technology will help create new jobs and, best of all, keep Kansas graduates in Kansas. No word yet on when officials will start using the drones. KDOT says it's in line for a takeoff real soon. In Topeka, Tom Weineck, KSNT News.
A new partnership between 2 area hospitals will make things easier for some cancer patients. Coming up, how the joint effort could bring some medical resources closer to home.